The corner office on the 48th floor of Almeida Industries headquarters offered a panoramic view of Manhattan's skyline, but Victor Almeida barely noticed it anymore. At 42, he had spent countless hours in this space, building an empire that made him one of the youngest CEOs in the Fortune 500. The early morning sun cast long shadows across his mahogany desk as he reviewed the quarterly reports. "Mr. Almeida, there's someone here to see you." His executive assistant's voice crackled through the intercom. "She doesn't have an appointment, but she's insisting it's urgent." Victor didn't look up from his tablet. "Rebecca, you know my policy on unscheduled meetings." "Sir, she says her name is Sarah Martinez. She claims it's personal." Something in Rebecca's tone made Victor pause. The name stirred a distant memory, but he couldn't quite place it. "Give me 5 minutes, then send her in." He used those minutes to finish reviewing the last projections, his mind already moving on to the board meeting scheduled for later that morning. When his office door opened, Victor didn't immediately look up, maintaining the upper hand as he always did in unexpected encounters. "Mr. Almeida," a woman's voice said, steady, but with an undercurrent of tension. "Thank you for seeing me." Victor finally raised his eyes, and the recognition hit him like a physical force. Sarah Martinez stood before his desk, different from how he remembered her from that one night 6 years ago, but unmistakably the same woman. Her dark hair was shorter now, her face more angular, and her eyes carried a weight he didn't recall. "Sarah," he said, keeping his voice neutral, "this is unexpected. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't absolutely necessary." She remained standing, her hands clasped tightly in front of her. "I need to tell you something, and I need you to listen without interrupting." Victor gestured to one of the leather chairs facing his desk. "Please, sit." Sarah shook her head. "I prefer to stand." She took a deep breath. "That night we spent together 6 years ago. I got pregnant." The words hung in the air between them. Victor's fingers tightened imperceptibly on his armrest, but his face remained impassive. "I see," he said, though his mind was already racing through possibilities, calculations, and potential scenarios. "And you're telling me this now because I have a daughter. Her name is Anna, and she's 5 years old." Sarah's voice cracked slightly. "And I need you to take her." The carefully constructed walls of Victor's world trembled. "Take her? What exactly do you mean?" "I mean, I need you to take custody of her. I've lost everything. My job, my savings, my apartment. I can barely feed myself, let alone provide for a child." Sarah's composure began to crack. "I've never asked you for anything. I didn't even tell you about her because I was too proud, too convinced I could do it all on my own. But now," she paused, struggling to maintain control, "now I need to think about what's best for Anna." Victor stood slowly, walking to the window. The city sprawled below, but for the first time in years, he felt untethered from his carefully ordered world. "How do I know she's mine? I have the paperwork for a DNA test ready. You can choose the lab, the doctor, whatever you need." Sarah pulled an envelope from her bag. "I'm not here for money, Victor. I'm here because my daughter deserves a chance at a better life than I can give her right now." He turned back to face her. "And where is she now?" "In the lobby with my sister. I didn't want to bring her up until I knew how you would react." Victor's mind raced through the implications. A daughter, his daughter, the media circus this could create, the impact on the company's stock, the board's reaction. But beneath all these practical concerns, something else stirred, a feeling he couldn't quite name. "You understand I'll need to verify everything," he said, his business instincts taking over. "And if what you're saying is true, we'll need to discuss this properly, with lawyers present." Sarah's shoulders slumped slightly. "Of course. I expected nothing less from you." She placed the envelope on his desk. "All my contact information is in there, along with Anna's birth certificate and medical records. When you're ready to meet her." She hesitated. "She doesn't know why she's here today. I told her we were visiting a friend." Victor watched as Sarah moved toward the door, noting how different she seemed from the confident young woman he'd met that night in Chicago. "Sarah," he called out just as she reached for the handle. Why didn't you tell me sooner?" She turned, and for a moment, he saw a flash of the fire he remembered. "Because back then, Victor, you were exactly who you are now. A man who sees everything as a business transaction to be managed. I wanted more than that for my daughter." She opened the door. "I still do, but sometimes we don't get to choose our options." After she left, Victor stood motionless, staring at the envelope on his desk. Outside his office, he could hear the familiar sounds of another busy day at Almeida Industries, phones ringing, keyboards clicking, the distant hum of conversation. But inside, everything had changed. He pressed the intercom button. "Rebecca, clear my schedule for the rest of the day, and get me Howard from legal." He paused, then added, "Also, send someone down to the lobby. There's a woman there with her sister and a little girl. Make sure they're comfortable, Pawn, but don't let them leave." As he sat back down, Victor opened the envelope with steady hands. A photograph slipped out among the documents. A little girl with dark curls and his mother's eyes, smiling at the camera. Something shifted in his chest, a sensation both foreign and profound. For the first time in his career, Victor Almeida had encountered a situation he couldn't control through strategic planning or financial power. And somehow, that 5-year-old smile in the photograph threatened to unravel everything he'd spent his life building. The DNA results arrived on a Tuesday morning, their clinical precision confirming what Victor had already begun to suspect in his heart. He sat in his home office, the Manhattan skyline glittering through floor-to-ceiling windows, as he read the report for the 4th time. 99% probability of paternity. The past week had been a blur of legal meetings, background checks, and sleepless nights. Victor had deployed his considerable resources to verify every detail of Sarah's story, searching for any hint of deception. Instead, he found only truth, and with it, the weight of 5 years of missed moments. His phone buzzed. A text from Rebecca. "Mr. Almeida, Ms. Martinez and Anna have arrived at the address as requested." Victor stood, adjusting his tie more from habit than necessity. He'd chosen his penthouse for this meeting rather than his office, believing it might feel less intimidating for a child. Now, as he descended in his private elevator to the building's exclusive lobby, he questioned every decision. The doors opened, and he saw them immediately. Sarah wore a simple blue dress, her hair pulled back, looking more composed than during their last encounter. Beside her stood a small figure in a yellow sundress, dark curls framing a face that made Victor's breath catch. Anna was examining the lobby's fountain with undisguised fascination, one hand clasped in her mother's, the other reaching toward the dancing water. "Anna," Sarah said softly as Victor approached, "there's someone I'd like you to meet." The little girl turned, and Victor found himself fixed by eyes that mirrored his own. She didn't shy away or hide behind her mother as he'd half expected. Instead, she regarded him with open curiosity. "Hello," Victor said, surprised by the gentleness in his own voice. "I'm Victor." "I'm Anna," she replied, her chin lifting slightly. "I'm 5 3/4. A smile tugged at Victor's lips, the first genuine one in days. "That's very precise. Mom says being precise is important." Anna looked up at Sarah, then back at Victor. "Your building has a very pretty fountain. Would you like to see more of it?" Victor asked, then glanced at Sarah for permission. She nodded, though he noticed the tension in her shoulders. They took the private elevator to the penthouse, Anna's eyes widening as she watched the numbers climb. When the doors opened directly into the apartment, she gasped. It's like a castle in the sky. The space, with its minimalist design and carefully curated furniture, had never felt less like home to Victor. He watched as Anna approached the windows, pressing her small hands against the glass. "You can see everything from here." "Anna, careful," Sarah cautioned, moving closer to her daughter. "The glass is reinforced," Victor assured her. "It's completely safe." He hesitated, then added, "Would you like something to drink? I have juice boxes." The last part came out as a question. He'd had his housekeeper stock the kitchen specifically for this visit. "Apple juice?" Anna asked hopefully. "3 kinds, actually. Apple, orange, and grape." Anna looked at her mother for permission, and Sarah nodded. As Victor went to the kitchen, he heard Anna's voice behind him. "Mom, is Victor the friend you said we were going to meet?" The silence that followed was heavy. Victor returned with the juice boxes to find Sarah kneeling in front of their daughter, her hands gentle on Anna's shoulders. "Sweetheart, remember how we talked about different kinds of families? How some kids live with their mom and dad, and some just with their mom or just their dad?" Anna nodded, accepting the apple juice from Victor. "Like Madison at school, she lives with her dad on weekends." "Right." Sarah took a deep breath, and Victor could see her struggling to find the right words. "Anna, Victor isn't just a friend. He's your father." The juice box lowered slowly from Anna's lips. She looked at Victor with new intensity, her small brow furrowing. Like Madison's dad. Yes, Sarah said softly. Exactly like that. Anna was quiet for a long moment, processing. Then she asked, "Where were you before?" The simple question hit Victor like a physical blow. He started, then looked at Sarah helplessly. "That's complicated, sweetheart," Sarah intervened. "Sometimes grown-ups make mistakes. Sometimes they don't know things they should know. Did you not want to meet me before?" Anna's voice was small but steady. Victor moved forward, crouching down to Anna's eye level. "I didn't know about you before," he said, choosing honesty. "But now that I do, I very much want to know you, if you'll let me." Anna studied him with an intensity that reminded him forcefully of his mother. "Do you know how to play Candyland?" "I don't," Victor admitted. But I could learn. I could teach you," Anna offered magnanimously. "I'm very good at it." "I'd like that." Victor glanced at Sarah, who was watching their interaction with an unreadable expression. "Maybe we could all play together." The next hour passed in a blur of colored squares and candy-themed game pieces. Victor, who prided himself on his strategic thinking, found himself thoroughly defeated by a 5-year-old who took obvious delight in sending his game piece back to start with each unlucky draw of a licorice card. As they played, Anna gradually began to ask questions. Simple ones at first. What was his favorite color? Blue. Did he like dogs? Yes, though he'd never owned one. Could he swim? Yes, but not as well as he'd like. Then, as children often do, she moved to more complex territory. "If you're my dad, will I live here sometimes like Madison does with her dad?" The question brought both adults up short. Sarah's hands tightened on her own juice box. She'd accepted one after Anna's insistence that grown-ups needed juice too. "That's something your mom and I need to talk about," Victor said carefully. "But I would very much like to spend more time with you." Anna nodded, seemingly satisfied for the moment. "The view is better than at our hotel." Victor's head snapped up, meeting Sarah's eyes. She looked away quickly, but not before he caught the flash of shame and determination there. He'd known they'd lost their apartment, but he hadn't realized. "It's getting late," Sarah said, standing. "We should go, Anna. Say thank you to Victor for having us." "Thank you," Anna said dutifully, then added with a child's brutal honesty, "Are you sad you didn't know about me before?" Victor felt something crack in his carefully maintained facade. "Yes," he said simply. "Very sad." As they prepared to leave, Victor pulled Sarah aside while Anna gathered her things. "A hotel?" he asked quietly. "We're fine," Sarah said firmly. "I have interviews lined up next week. Let me help." "You can help by getting to know your daughter," Sarah replied. "That's all I'm asking for right now." Victor watched them leave, the empty penthouse seeming to echo with the ghosts of Anna's laughter. He walked to his home office and picked up his phone, dialing a familiar number. "Rebecca, I need you to clear my schedule for tomorrow morning, and find out which hotel Sarah Martinez and Anna are staying in." Discreetly, he paused, looking at the Candyland board still spread across his coffee table. "Also, I need you to order every board game suitable for a 5-year-old that you can find." As he hung up, Victor caught his reflection in the window. The powerful CEO, the man who'd built an empire through calculation and control. For the first time, he wondered if that man was enough to be the father Anna deserved. Morning light filtered through the hotel room's thin curtains as Sarah helped Anna button her uniform for Winchester Academy, one of Manhattan's most prestigious private schools. The acceptance letter had arrived yesterday, express delivery, along with a note from Victor stating all arrangements had been made for immediate enrollment. "Mom, will there be other new kids too?" Anna asked, fidgeting with her navy blue blazer. Sarah smoothed her daughter's curls, fighting back the complex emotions stirring in her chest. Just 2 weeks ago, they'd been sharing a twin bed in a budget hotel, and now they were in a suite at the Peninsula, courtesy of Victor's temporary arrangement, while they sorted things out. "I'm sure there will be," Sarah replied, adjusting Anna's collar. "And remember, if you're nervous or need anything, Ms. Henderson will be there to help." A knock at the door announced Victor's arrival. He stood in the hallway wearing an impeccably tailored suit, his usual commanding presence somewhat softened by the pink backpack he carried, Anna's choice during their shopping trip last weekend. "Good morning," he said, his eyes taking in Anna's uniform. Something flickered across his face. Pride, perhaps, or regret. "Ready for your first day?" Anna nodded, though Sarah noticed her daughter's hands twisting together, a sure sign of anxiety. Victor must have noticed too, because he knelt down, setting the backpack aside. "You know," he said, his voice gentler than Sarah had ever heard it. "I was new once too, at a different school, but just as nervous as you might be feeling." "You were?" Anna's eyes widened. "But you're never scared of anything." A small laugh escaped Victor. "That's not true at all. In fact, this morning I'm a little scared too." "Why?" "Because I want your first day to be perfect, and that's not something I can control, no matter how much I'd like to." Sarah watched this exchange with a mix of surprise and appreciation. In the past 2 weeks, she'd seen glimpses of a Victor she never knew existed, one who could set aside board meetings to attend impromptu tea parties, who learned all of Anna's favorite foods, who seemed genuinely invested in being more than just a financial provider. The drive to Winchester Academy was quiet. Anna sandwiched between her parents and Victor's town car. Sarah noticed how her daughter's hand had found its way into Victor's, and how naturally he'd accepted it. The sight caused an unexpected tightness in her throat. At the school gates, they were met by Ms. Henderson, the primary years coordinator, a warm-faced woman who immediately crouched to Anna's level. "You must be Anna. We're so excited to have you join us." As Ms. Henderson led Anna toward her classroom, both parents watched until she disappeared through the heavy wooden doors. The moment stretched, neither quite ready to break the spell. "She'll be fine," Victor said finally, though Sarah wasn't sure if he was reassuring her or himself. "I know." Sarah turned to leave, but Victor's voice stopped her. "Have coffee with me?" She hesitated. They'd spent time together because of Anna, but always with their daughter present as a buffer. The thought of being alone with him stirred up too many complicated emotions. "I have job interviews to prepare for," she replied. "Sarah," his tone made her look back, "we need to talk about the living situation. The hotel can't be a long-term solution. I told you, once I find a job, I've arranged for a viewing of an apartment this afternoon. 3 bedrooms, secure building, 10 minutes from the school." He held up a hand as she started to protest. "Just look at it. That's all I'm asking." Sarah felt her defenses rise. "I don't need your charity, Victor. This isn't about charity." For the first time, a frustration crept into his voice. "This is about our daughter having stability. You can pay rent once you're working again, if that makes you feel better. But Anna needs a home, not a hotel room." The words hit their mark. Sarah had spent countless nights lying awake, wrestling with guilt over uprooting Anna's life, over accepting Victor's help, over every decision that had led them here. "Fine," she conceded. "I'll look at it, but I'm not promising anything." They ended up at a small cafe 2 blocks from the school, an intentionally public place that felt safer than the intimacy of his office or the hotel. Victor ordered black coffee. Sarah chose tea, remembering too late that he'd remember her preference from that night 6 years ago. "The school seems good," she said, breaking the awkward silence. "It is. I had them send over their entire curriculum and teaching philosophy before enrolling her." He paused. "I know it might seem excessive, but I wanted to make sure it was right for her. Like the background checks you ran on me." Victor had the grace to look slightly abashed. "You knew about those." "I assumed. It's what you do, isn't it? Gather all the facts. Control all the variables." He set his coffee down carefully. "Can you blame me? You appear in my office after 6 years with a daughter I never knew existed. What did you expect?" "I expected exactly this. The grand gestures, the problem-solving approach, the need to take control." Sarah wrapped her hands around her cup. "What I didn't expect was the way you are with her, how much you seem to genuinely care." "She's extraordinary," Victor said simply. "She's smart and funny and kind, and I've missed so much already. I don't want to miss any more." The rawness in his voice caught Sarah off guard. "I shouldn't have kept her from you," she admitted quietly. "I was wrong about that, but I wasn't wrong about who you were then. And who am I now?" Sarah met his gaze. "I'm still figuring that out." Victor's phone buzzed, a message from the school. Sarah felt her heart skip until he smiled. Mrs. Henderson sent a photo. "Anna's already made a friend." He turned the phone to show her. Anna sitting at a small desk beside another little girl, both of them grinning as they shared a book. The knot in Sarah's chest loosened slightly. "About the apartment," Victor said, putting his phone away. "I know you want to maintain your independence. I respect that, but please, just look at it. For Anna's sake." Sarah thought about their hotel room, about Anna's toys crammed into drawers, about the impossibility of creating any sense of normalcy in a temporary space. Okay, she said finally. Show me the apartment. As they left the cafe, Sarah caught their reflection in the window. Two people who had shared one night, created one perfect little girl, and now found themselves navigating an unexpected future together. The morning sun cast their shadows long against the sidewalk, stretching toward the school where their daughter was beginning her own new chapter. Victor held the car door open for her, and for a moment, Sarah allowed herself to imagine a world where they could make this work. Not just for Anna's sake, but for all of them. It was a dangerous thought, but as they drove through the city streets, she couldn't quite shake it. The apartment exceeded Sarah's worst fears. It was perfect. Nestled on the 14th floor of a pre-war building in the Upper West Side, it featured large windows that flooded the space with natural light, built-in bookshelves that Anna would love, and a view of Central Park that made Sarah's heart ache with its beauty. The building has excellent security, Victor explained as they walked through the space. 24-hour doorman, restricted elevator access, and a children's playroom on the second floor. Sarah ran her hand along the kitchen counter, its marble surface cool beneath her fingers. It's too much, Victor. It's not enough, he countered, his voice tight with an emotion she couldn't quite read. Do you know what I was doing when Anna took her first steps? I was in Tokyo, closing a merger. When she said her first word, I was probably sitting in some boardroom, thinking I had everything I needed. Victor, I missed everything, Sarah. Her first smile, her first tooth, her first day of preschool. I can't change that, but I can make sure she has a real home now. Before Sarah could respond, Victor's phone rang. He glanced at the screen, his expression darkening. I need to take this. Excuse me? As he stepped onto the balcony, Sarah wandered into what would be Anna's room. The walls were a soft cream color, waiting to be filled with whatever personality their daughter would bring to the space. Through the door, she could hear Victor's voice rising. What do you mean they're backing out? A pause. No, that's unacceptable. The Morrison deal is crucial for our third quarter projections. Another pause. Cancel my afternoon. I'll be there in 20 minutes. He returned, his CEO mask firmly back in place. I'm sorry, there's an emergency at the office. The real estate agent will be here in 10 minutes to answer any questions. Take your time looking around. Go, Sarah said, recognizing the familiar pull of professional crisis. I know how this works. Something flickered across Victor's face. Regret, perhaps, or frustration. Then he was gone, his footsteps echoing down the hallway. Sarah spent another hour in the apartment, trying to find flaws that would make it easier to refuse. Instead, she found herself imagining Anna's drawings on the fridge, homework spread across the dining room table, Sunday morning pancakes in the sun-drenched kitchen. Her phone buzzed, a reminder for her job interview at Clark & Associates, a boutique marketing firm. She'd have to hurry to make it downtown in time. 2 hours later, Sarah sat across from Linda Clark herself, trying to maintain her composure as the interview veered into unexpected territory. Your resume is impressive, Linda said, studying the paper before her, but there's a gap in your employment history. Yes, Sarah acknowledged. I've been focused on raising my daughter. Admirable, Linda replied, though her tone suggested otherwise. And now, I'm ready to return to full-time work. My circumstances have changed recently. Linda leaned forward. Miss Wedge-Martinez, let me be direct. We did our due diligence before this interview. You're currently involved with Victor Almeida. Yes, we know who he is. The question is, why are you looking for work when you could simply... I'm going to stop you right there, Sarah interrupted, her voice steady, despite the anger building in her chest. My relationship with Victor Almeida is purely co-parental. And I'm looking for work because I've spent the last decade building my career in marketing, not looking for handouts. The interview ended shortly after, both women aware no offer would be forthcoming. Sarah walked the 20 blocks back to the hotel, her heels clicking against the pavement in a rhythm that matched her racing thoughts. The hotel room felt smaller than ever when she returned. Anna's school uniforms hung in the closet next to Sarah's carefully preserved work clothes, their lives packed into suitcases and drawers, temporary and unsettled. Her phone rang. Victor, how was the rest of your time at the apartment? He asked without preamble. It was fine. Sarah sank onto the bed. How's your crisis? Managed, for now. He paused. Listen, I thought maybe we could take Anna to dinner tonight. There's a place near Central Park she might like. Sarah closed her eyes, thinking of Linda Clark's assumptions. I had an interview today. Oh, His tone shifted, becoming more careful. How did it go? They'd done their research on me. On us. The words came out more bitter than she intended. Apparently being connected to you makes me either a gold digger or an idiot for still wanting to work. The silence on the other end stretched. Finally, Victor said, I'm sorry. I didn't think. That's just it, Victor. You didn't think. You swept in with your solutions and your resources. And now everyone assumes I'm just another woman trying to cash in on a powerful man's mistake. Anna was never a mistake, he said sharply. No, she wasn't. But this, the hotel, the school, the apartment, it's all happening on your terms. And now I can't even get a job because everyone thinks I'm just biding my time until you make me an offer I can't refuse. Sarah, Victor's voice softened. Take the apartment. Pay rent if you want. But take it. Anna needs stability, and you need your independence. As for the job, he hesitated. Let me make some calls. No, Sarah stood, pacing the small room. That's exactly what I don't want. I need to do this on my own. Why? Why is it so important to struggle when I can help? Because I'm not just Anna's mother, Victor. I'm a person with my own dreams, my own pride. I can't be the woman who lets her child's father solve all her problems. The silence that followed was heavy with unspoken words. Finally, Victor said, I understand pride, Sarah. But sometimes, accepting help isn't weakness. It's doing what's best for everyone involved. Before she could respond, there was a knock at her door. She opened it to find a delivery man holding an enormous, stuffed unicorn with a card attached. From Ms. Ana Almeida, the card read in Victor's precise handwriting. To remind you that magic is real, and sometimes dreams do come true. P.S. I got an A on my first spelling test today. Despite herself, Sarah smiled. The unicorn just arrived, she told Victor. Anna picked it out last weekend. She wanted it to be a surprise for you. Sarah touched the soft pink fur, feeling her resolve weaken. Fine, she said finally. We'll look at the apartment again. Together, all three of us. Tomorrow after school? Tomorrow after school, she agreed. But Victor, no more grand gestures. No more solving everything with your checkbook. If we're going to figure this out, we need to do it as equals. Agreed. She could hear the smile in his voice. Now, about dinner. Yes, Sarah said, looking at the unicorn's hopeful expression. I think dinner would be good. Victor watched from his office window as thunderclouds gathered over Manhattan, matching his mood. The Morrison deal was falling apart, and now the board was demanding an emergency meeting. On his desk, a framed photo of Anna at her new school desk smiled up at him, a reminder of what really mattered. His intercom buzzed. Mr. Almeida, the board members are assembled in the conference room. Thank you, Rebecca. He straightened his tie, grabbed his tablet, and headed for what he knew would be an unpleasant confrontation. The tension in the conference room was palpable as Victor entered. Richard Maxwell, the lead director, sat at the head of the table, his expression grave. Other board members lined both sides, their faces ranging from concern to barely concealed hostility. Victor, Richard began, we need to discuss the company's direction. Your personal situation has become a distraction. Victor remained standing, his fingers resting lightly on the back of his chair. My personal situation? The child, Richard said bluntly. Your sudden involvement with her and her mother has affected your focus. The Morrison deal faltered because they misrepresented their Q2 earnings, Victor interrupted. It has nothing to do with my daughter. Your alleged daughter, another board member interjected. Have you considered the possibility? DNA confirmed, Victor cut in, his voice sharp. And my relationship with my daughter is not up for discussion. Richard leaned forward. It is when it affects shareholder value. You've missed 3 key meetings in the past month. The Chen acquisition needs attention. And now there are rumors about you house hunting with the mother. Apartment hunting, Victor corrected. For my daughter's stability. The board's concern, Richard continued, is that you're being manipulated. This woman appears out of nowhere with a child and suddenly you're... Careful, Victor warned, his voice dropping dangerously low. Choose your next words very carefully. His phone vibrated. A text from Sarah. Emergency at school. Anna's sick. They can't reach you. Victor's heart clenched. This meeting is over. We're not finished, Richard protested. Yes, we are. Victor gathered his things. My daughter needs me. Rebecca will reschedule. He was in his car within minutes, directing his driver to Winchester Academy. Rain had started to fall, heavy drops pelting the windows as they navigated through midday traffic. The school nurse's office was quiet except for the sound of Anna's labored breathing. She sat on an examination bed, her face flushed with fever, while Sarah held her hand. Both looked up when Victor entered. "Daddy," Anna wheezed, and Victor's heart twisted at both the word and her obvious distress. "What happened?" he asked, moving to Anna's side. "Asthma attack," Sarah explained. "She's had them before, but this is the worst one yet. She needs her nebulizer treatment, but it's at the hotel. I'll send someone to get it," Victor started, but Sarah shook her head. "No time. She needs to go to the ER." Victor scooped Anna into his arms. "My car's outside." The ride to New York Presbyterian was tense, Anna's breathing becoming more labored. Sarah kept her voice calm as she spoke soothingly to their daughter, but Victor could see the fear in her eyes. In the emergency room, Victor's name expedited their admission, though he would have gladly traded all his influence for a single easy breath from Anna. They watched as doctors administered treatment, Sarah gripping Victor's hand unconsciously. "Why didn't I know about her asthma?" he asked quietly. "It was in the medical records I gave you," Sarah replied, not taking her eyes off Anna. "But it's been under control for the past year, I thought." She swallowed hard. The stress of all the changes must have triggered it. Hours passed. Anna's breathing improved with treatment, and she finally fell asleep, looking small and vulnerable in the hospital bed. Sarah sat beside her, stroking her hair, while Victor stood by the window watching the storm rage outside. "I should have known," he said finally. "I should have read everything more carefully, been more prepared." "Victor," Sarah's voice was gentle, "you can't control everything. The board thinks you're manipulating me," he said abruptly. "Using Anna to, I don't know, gain something." Sarah's hand stilled in Anna's hair. "Oh, is that what you think?" "No," he turned to face her. "But they're right about one thing. I'm distracted. For the first time in my life, work isn't my top priority, and I don't know how to balance it all." "Welcome to parenthood," Sarah said with a slight smile. "Nobody knows how to balance it all. We just do our best." Victor moved closer to the bed, watching Anna's chest rise and fall. "I missed a board meeting today because of this. I'd miss 100 more." "I know." Sarah's voice held understanding. "That's how I know you've changed." A soft knock interrupted them, as a nurse entered with discharge papers. "She's stable now," she explained, "but you'll need to monitor her closely for the next few days." "The hotel room," Sarah began, but Victor shook his head. "The apartment, it's ready. You can move in tonight." "Victor, please," he said quietly. "Not for me, for her. It's close to the hospital. She'll have her own space, proper ventilation." Sarah looked at their sleeping daughter, then nodded slowly. "Okay, but we're still discussing terms. Whatever you want." Victor pulled out his phone. "I'll have Rebecca arrange for your things to be moved." As they prepared to leave, Anna stirred. "Can we have pancakes?" she asked sleepily. Victor and Sarah exchanged glances. "Tomorrow morning," Sarah promised. "A first breakfast in our new home." Later that night, after Anna was settled in her new room with a humidifier running and her nebulizer close at hand, Victor stood in the apartment's living room, watching the storm finally begin to clear. "She's asleep," Sarah said, joining him at the window. "The medicine makes her drowsy. I'll stay on the couch tonight," Victor said. "Just in case." Sarah nodded, understanding. They stood in comfortable silence, watching the city lights emerge from the rain. "Thank you," Sarah said finally, "for being there today, for being the father she needs." Victor thought of the board meeting, of Richard's warnings, of the empire he'd built that suddenly seemed less important than a little girl's breathing. "I'm learning," he said simply. Outside, the last rumbles of thunder faded away, leaving behind a city washed clean by the storm. In her new room, Anna slept peacefully, while her parents stood guard, united by love and fear and the countless moments they were just beginning to share. The autumn morning glowed golden through the windows of Victor's office as he reviewed the latest acquisition reports. 3 months had passed since Anna's asthma attack, and life had settled into an unexpected rhythm. His phone buzzed, a video from Sarah of Anna mastering her first cartwheel at gymnastics class. "Mr. Almeida," Rebecca's voice interrupted his smile. "Mr. Maxwell is here. He says it's urgent." Victor's jaw tightened. The board had been increasingly vocal about their concerns, and Richard Maxwell had become their de facto spokesman. "Send him in." Richard entered, clutching a tablet and wearing an expression that suggested he'd rather be anywhere else. "Have you seen the morning's headlines?" "I've been focused on the Chen portfolio," Victor replied coolly. Richard placed his tablet on Victor's desk. The screen displayed a gossip website's homepage, Corporate Titan's Secret Family, exclusive photos of Victor Almeida's hidden daughter and former flame. The photos showed Victor, Sarah, and Anna at the park last weekend. Anna on the swings, Victor pushing her higher as she laughed, Sarah watching them, a soft smile on her face. Private moments made public without their knowledge. "The stock's down 12 points, Richard said. "Investors are concerned about your judgment, about potential claims on company assets." "Anna is my daughter, not a claim on assets," Victor cut in, his voice dangerous. "The board is calling for an emergency vote of confidence." Richard shifted uncomfortably. "There's talk of temporary leadership while you sort out your personal affairs." Victor stood slowly. "Get out. Victor, be reasonable. Get out." After Richard left, Victor stared at the photos. His security team had failed. Worse, he'd failed to protect Anna and Sarah from this invasion. His phone buzzed again. "Sarah, have you seen it?" she asked without preamble. "Yes, I'm handling it." "Handling it?" Sarah's voice rose. "Our daughter's face is all over the internet. Victor, she's being followed by photographers. The school called. There are reporters outside." Victor was already moving, grabbing his coat. "I'm on my way to get her." "No," Sarah said firmly. "I'm closer. I'll pick her up. But we need to talk about this. Tonight." The day deteriorated from there. Victor spent hours in emergency meetings with his PR team, legal department, and security consultants. By evening, he was exhausted but had secured court orders against several publications and arranged for enhanced security at both the apartment and Anna's school. When he arrived at the apartment, he found Sarah pacing the living room. Anna was already asleep, worn out from the day's chaos. "She asked me why people were taking her picture," Sarah said without greeting. "She wanted to know if she'd done something wrong." The words hit Victor like physical blows. "I'll fix this." "How?" "By throwing money at it. By threatening lawsuits." Sarah ran a hand through her hair. "This is exactly what I was afraid of 6 years ago. Your world, your spotlight, it's too much." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying maybe this was a mistake. Maybe trying to create this perfect family scenario isn't what's best for Anna." Victor felt the ground shifting beneath his feet. "You can't take her away from me." "I'm not talking about taking her away, I'm talking about being realistic." Sarah sank onto the couch. "You're running a multinational corporation. Every move you make is scrutinized, and now Anna's caught in the crossfire. So I should just step back? Be a part-time father who sends checks and birthday cards?" "No, but..." Victor's phone rang. Richard Maxwell again. He silenced it with more force than necessary. "See?" Sarah gestured at the phone. "Your whole world is pulling you in one direction while Anna needs you in another. Something has to give." "Not Anna," Victor said firmly. "Never Anna." "Then what?" "Your company. The empire you've spent your life building." Victor moved to the window, looking out at the city he'd once thought he owned. "Maybe it's time for a change." "What do you mean?" "I've been CEO for 12 years. Maybe it's time to step back. Take a chairman position. Let someone else handle day-to-day operations." Sarah stared at him. "You can't be serious." "Why not?" "Because this is who you are, Victor. The driven executive. The man who needs to control everything. You'd be miserable stepping back." "I was miserable before," he said quietly. "I just didn't know it." He turned to face her. "Do you know what I thought about today? Not the stock price, not the board vote. I thought about how Anna looked on those swings, how complete I felt just pushing her higher and higher." Sarah's expression softened. "Victor, I know who I was," he continued. "The man who measured everything in profit margins and market share. But that man didn't have a daughter who needs him. He didn't have..." He stopped, the words catching in his throat. "I didn't have what?" Before he could answer, a small voice came from the hallway. "Daddy?" They turned to find Anna standing there in her unicorn pajamas, clutching her favorite stuffed animal. "Hey, sweetheart," Victor said, his voice gentle. "Can't sleep?" Anna shook her head. "The pictures scared me." Victor crossed the room and knelt before her. "Listen to me. Those people who took the pictures, they were wrong. You didn't do anything bad. And I promise you, I won't let anyone scare you again. Promise, 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 promise. He held out his pinky finger, a gesture he'd learned from her. Pinky swear. Anna wrapped her tiny finger around his, then threw her arms around his neck. Over her head, Victor's eyes met Sarah's. Take her back to bed, Sarah said softly. We can talk more tomorrow. Later, after Anna had fallen asleep again, Victor found Sarah on the balcony. The city sprawled before them, a constellation of lights in the darkness. I meant what I said, he told her, about stepping back. I know you did. Sarah turned to face him. That's what scares me. Why? Because, she hesitated, because it means you really have changed. And that changes everything. They stood in silence, letting the weight of those words settle between them. Below, the city continued its endless rhythm, unaware that in a quiet apartment above, two people were rewriting their own definitions of success, family, and love. Thanksgiving week brought an unseasonable chill to Manhattan. Victor sat in his office, reviewing the documents that would fundamentally change his role at Almeida Industries. The transition plan was elegant in its simplicity. He would become executive chairman, maintaining strategic oversight while stepping back from daily operations. His phone lit up with a message from Sarah. Anna's school play is at 2 p.m. Don't forget, as if he could. His daughter was playing the lead turkey in Winchester Academy's Thanksgiving production, a role she'd been practicing for weeks, complete with elaborate feather gestures and a song about gratitude that now lived rent-free in both her parents' heads. The intercom buzzed. Mr. Maxwell is requesting an urgent meeting. Victor checked his watch. 11:30 a.m. Tell him he has 30 minutes. Richard entered, looking more harried than usual. The Chen family is threatening to pull out of the merger. They say your transition plan suggests instability. The plan ensures continuity while allowing me to focus on long-term strategy. Victor replied, his tone measured. The board approved it. Under protest, Victor, be reasonable. This restructuring, it's too soon. Give it a year. My daughter's school play is at 2 o'clock. Richard blinked at the apparent non sequitur. I'm sure it is, but 3 months ago, I missed her first gymnastics exhibition because of the Morrison negotiations. 2 weeks ago, I was late for parent-teacher conferences because of the Tokyo call. I won't miss this. We're talking about a multi-billion-dollar merger. No, Victor stood, gathering his coat. We're talking about priorities. The Chen family values tradition and family above all else. Send them the video of my announcement, where I explained that this transition allows me to be more present for my daughter while maintaining strategic oversight of the company. They'll understand. And if they don't, then they're not the partners we want. Victor checked his watch again. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to pick up something before the play. That something was a bouquet of autumn flowers, orange and yellow blooms that Anna had specifically requested for her turkey debut. As Victor's driver navigated through midday traffic, he received another text from Sarah. Running late. Meeting ran long. Can you help Anna with her costume? The school's auditorium was chaos when Victor arrived. Dozens of small pilgrims and Native Americans running around while harried teachers attempted to maintain order. He found Anna in her classroom, struggling with her turkey headdress. Daddy. She brightened at the sight of the flowers. You remembered. Of course. He set the bouquet aside and knelt to help with the costume. Having trouble? It keeps falling sideways. Anna's lower lip trembled slightly. What if it falls off during my big song? Victor examined the headdress's construction with the same attention he'd give a merger agreement. Ah, I see the problem. The elastic's twisted. Here. He adjusted it carefully, then secured it with a safety pin he'd learned to always carry. Better. Anna tested it with an experimental headshake. Perfect. Did you practice the song with me one more time? For the next 10 minutes, Victor Almeida, terror of Wall Street, sat cross-legged on a kindergarten floor, earnestly singing about being thankful while his daughter demonstrated turkey dance moves. That's how Sarah found them. Sorry I'm late, she said, slightly out of breath. The agency interview went long, but she stopped, taking in the scene. Are you singing? Daddy knows all the words now, Anna announced proudly. I see that. Sarah's eyes met Victor's, amusement dancing in them. The great Victor Almeida, turkey chorus master. Before Victor could respond, Ms. Henderson appeared. 5 minutes until showtime. Everyone. Anna, we need our star turkey. As they watched Anna hurry off, Sarah touched Victor's arm. Thank you for handling this. The interview. It actually went well. Really well. Yeah. They offered me the creative director position, full benefits, flexible hours. She paused. It's a real chance to rebuild my career. Sarah, that's wonderful. Victor meant it. Watching her struggle to reclaim her professional identity had been difficult, especially knowing his presence complicated her path. There's just one thing. She bit her lip. They want me to start next week. With the holidays coming up and Anna's schedule, we'll figure it out, Victor said immediately. I'm stepping back at work. Remember, we can coordinate schedules, share pickup duties. Are you sure? Because I know the Chen merger is less important than this. Victor turned to face her fully. You deserve this opportunity, Sarah. We're partners in this, remember? Something shifted in Sarah's expression, a softening he'd been seeing more frequently lately. But before she could respond, the lights dimmed, signaling the start of the show. They found seats in the front row, joining other parents with cameras and proud smiles. As Anna took the stage, her headdress perfectly straight, Victor felt an overwhelming surge of emotion. His daughter, confident and bright, began her turkey song, and he found himself mouthing the words along with her. Halfway through the performance, Sarah's hand found his in the darkness. A simple gesture, perhaps unconscious, but it sent warmth spreading through his chest. They stayed that way through the rest of the show, through Anna's final bow, through the standing ovation led by Victor's enthusiastic clapping. Afterward, as Anna proudly showed off her costume to her classmates' parents, Victor watched Sarah arrange the flowers in a vase on Anna's classroom desk. She'd rolled up her sleeves, exposing the small tattoo on her wrist, a compass rose he remembered from that night 6 years ago. She caught him looking and smiled, a real smile that reached her eyes. What? She asked. Just thinking about how different everything is from a year ago. Good different. Better than I ever imagined possible. Anna bounded over, still wearing her turkey feathers. Can we get ice cream to celebrate? Victor looked at Sarah, who nodded. Ice cream sounds perfect, he said. And maybe we can talk about Thanksgiving plans. Can we have it at our house? Anna asked eagerly. With both of you? Victor held his breath, watching Sarah. They hadn't discussed holiday arrangements yet, had been dancing around the growing intimacy of their co-parenting relationship. Yes, Sarah said finally, her eyes meeting Victor's. I think having Thanksgiving together would be nice. As they left the school, Anna skipping between them, Victor felt a sense of completion he'd never known in all his years of corporate success. His phone buzzed, probably Richard with news about the Chen merger, but for once, he didn't feel compelled to check it immediately. Some things, he was learning, were worth far more than business deals and bottom lines. Sometimes the richest moments came with turkey songs and shared ice cream, and the simple warmth of a hand finding yours in the darkness. The morning of Thanksgiving dawned crisp and clear over Manhattan. Victor stood in the apartment's kitchen, staring at a turkey with the same intensity he usually reserved for hostile takeover attempts. The cooking instructions might as well have been written in ancient Sanskrit. You're supposed to remove the bag of giblets first. Sarah's voice came from behind him, tinged with amusement. Victor turned to find her in the doorway, wearing jeans and a soft sweater, her hair pulled back casually. She'd been coming over early these days to help Anna prepare for school, staying for coffee, their morning routine becoming increasingly domestic. I knew that, he lied, reaching into the cavity with determination. Sure you did. Sarah moved beside him, gently taking over. Why don't you check on Anna? She's been suspiciously quiet in her room. He found their daughter surrounded by construction paper, scissors, and glue, creating what appeared to be place cards for dinner. Look, Daddy, I'm making everyone's names pretty. Victor sat cross-legged beside her, examining her handiwork. These are beautiful, sweetheart. But why are there 5? For you and Mom and me, Anna explained patiently, and Rebecca and Uncle Richard. Victor froze. Uncle Richard? He looked sad when I saw him at your office yesterday. Nobody should be sad on Thanksgiving. Yesterday's office visit, Anna had insisted on delivering hand-drawn turkey pictures to Daddy's work friends. Richard Maxwell had been unusually subdued when she presented him with his artwork. Anna, Victor began carefully. Uncle Richard might be busy with his own family today. He told me he wasn't. He said his kids are with their mom in California. Anna looked up with those eyes that could melt glaciers. Please, Daddy, he promised to teach me chess. Victor found Sarah in the kitchen, now expertly preparing the turkey. We need to talk. She listened as he explained Anna's invitation, her hands never stopping their work. "So invite him," she said finally. "What?" "Victor, your daughter has a kind heart. She saw someone lonely and wanted to help. Isn't that something we should encourage?" "But Richard's been—" Victor hesitated. "Been what? Fighting your transition plan, questioning your choices." Sarah wiped her hands on a towel. "Maybe seeing you as a father, seeing our family dynamic would help him understand." "Our family dynamic," Victor repeated softly. Sarah busied herself with the seasonings. "You know what I mean? Besides, Rebecca's coming. One more won't hurt." 3 hours later, the apartment filled with the aroma of roasting turkey and the sound of Anna's laughter, as Rebecca taught her how to fold napkins into swans. The doorbell rang. Richard Maxwell stood awkwardly in the hallway, holding a bottle of wine and looking entirely out of his element. "I wasn't sure." Anna's invitation was very insistent. "Come in, Richard." Victor surprised himself by meaning it. Anna rushed forward. "Uncle Richard, did you bring the chess set?" "I did." Richard produced a travel chess set from his coat pocket. "But maybe after dinner." Sarah emerged from the kitchen, wiping her hands on an apron. "You must be Richard. I'm Sarah." Anna hasn't stopped talking about learning chess. Victor watched as Richard's professional mask slowly melted in the face of Sarah's genuine warmth and Anna's enthusiasm. By the time they sat down to dinner, the atmosphere had shifted from potentially awkward to surprisingly comfortable. "This is amazing," Richard said, sampling the turkey. "You're quite the chef, Sarah." "Mom makes the best food," Anna declared loyally. "Even better than the fancy restaurants Daddy takes us to." "Speaking of food," Sarah interjected smoothly, "who wants to share what they're thankful for?" Anna's hand shot up. "Me first. I'm thankful that Daddy found us, and that we have our home, and that Mom smiles more now, and that Uncle Richard is going to teach me chess, and maybe let someone else have a turn, sweetheart," Sarah suggested gently. Rebecca went next, expressing gratitude for her job and her work family. Richard spoke quietly about being thankful for unexpected invitations and new perspectives. When Victor's turn came, he looked around the table, at his daughter's bright face, at Sarah's gentle smile, at Richard's thoughtful expression, at Rebecca's quiet support. "I'm thankful," he said slowly, "for second chances, for learning that success isn't measured in stock prices or merger deals, for a daughter who teaches me something new every day." His eyes met Sarah's. "And for people who believe in change, even when it seems impossible." Sarah held his gaze for a moment before looking down at her plate. When she spoke, her voice was soft. "I'm thankful for forgiveness, for new beginnings, for watching love grow in unexpected places." After dinner, Richard set up the chess set while Anna watched with rapt attention. Sarah and Rebecca cleared plates, talking quietly in the kitchen. Victor stood by the window, watching the city lights twinkle in the early darkness. "She's remarkable," Richard said later, as Anna demonstrated her newly learned chess moves to Rebecca. "Your daughter, I think I understand now." "Understand what?" "Why you're willing to step back, why this matters more." Richard gestured to the scene before them. Anna's excited chatter, Sarah's laughter from the kitchen, the warmth of family filling every corner of the room. "I've been looking at this all wrong, haven't I?" "We both were," Victor admitted, "for a long time." As the evening wound down, Anna fell asleep on the couch, her head in Sarah's lap. Richard and Rebecca said their goodbyes, both looking more relaxed than Victor had ever seen them at the office. "Stay," Victor said to Sarah as she moved to wake Anna. "It's late, and she's comfortable. Take my room. I'll sleep in the guest room." Sarah hesitated, then nodded. "Thank you. For today. For everything." They stood in the soft lamplight, watching their daughter sleep. Outside, snow began to fall, the first of the season. Inside, in a home filled with love and second chances, a family continued to find its way. The December evening glowed with holiday lights as Victor rushed through the final preparations for Anna's 6th birthday party. The apartment's living room had been transformed into an enchanted winter wonderland, her chosen theme, complete with silver snowflakes hanging from the ceiling and twinkling lights everywhere. "The cake's here," Sarah called from the kitchen. "And it's perfect." Victor joined her to inspect the creation, a 3-tiered masterpiece decorated with crystalline snowflakes and topped with a delicate sugar sculpture of a little girl dancing in the snow. The bakery had outdone themselves. "Did you check if—" he began. "No nuts, completely allergy-safe for all her classmates." Sarah confirmed. I triple-checked. Their easy coordination in party planning spoke to months of growing comfort with each other. Since Thanksgiving, something had shifted between them. Subtle glances held longer, casual touches lingering, conversations stretching late into the evening after Anna went to bed. The doorbell rang, and Anna raced from her room in a sparkly blue dress. Is it Madison? It was, along with what seemed like half of Anna's kindergarten class and their parents. Soon the apartment filled with the chaos of excited 6-year-olds, their voices rising above the winter-themed music playing softly in the background. Victor found himself manning the hot chocolate station, carefully monitoring sugar intake and temperature levels while fielding questions from curious parents about his recent corporate decisions. He noticed Sarah across the room, expertly leading the children in a snowflake-making activity, her laugh carrying over the happy din. "Daddy!" Anna appeared at his elbow. "Come see what Mom helped me make." He followed her to a table covered in paper snowflakes, each unique and sparkling with glitter. "This one's for you," she said, holding up an intricate design. "Mom showed me how to fold it special." "It's beautiful, sweetheart." He knelt to her level. "Are you having fun?" "The best fun." She hugged him impulsively. "I love having both of you here. Madison says it's nice that you and Mom love each other now." Victor's heart skipped. "Anna, present time," Sarah called out, saving him from having to respond. The children gathered eagerly around the gift table while parents found seats to watch. Anna opened each present with genuine delight, thanking every friend personally, a gesture Sarah had practiced with her. When she reached a small, elegantly wrapped box, Victor recognized it as Richard Maxwell's gift. Inside was a beautiful child's chess set, the pieces crafted from crystal and frosted glass. "Like real ice," Anna exclaimed. "Look, Mom, that's very special," Sarah said, catching Victor's eye. Since Thanksgiving, Richard had become an unexpected ally, defending Victor's leadership transition to the board and stopping by occasionally for chess lessons with Anna. After cake and games, as the party wound down, Madison's mother approached Sarah. "This was wonderful," she said, "and it's so nice to see how well you and Victor co-parent. The way you've maintained such a positive relationship for Anna's sake. It's admirable." Sarah's response was lost as Victor was pulled away by another parent, but he caught the slight flush in her cheeks. Later, after the last guest had left and Anna had finally fallen asleep surrounded by her new treasures, Victor and Sarah stood in the kitchen, tackling the cleanup. "That went well," Sarah said, loading the dishwasher, "though I think we'll be finding glitter for months." Small price to pay for that smile on her face. Victor handed her another plate. "You know what she said to me earlier?" "What?" "She told me Madison thinks it's nice that we love each other now." Sarah's hands stilled on the dishwasher rack. "Oh, yeah." Victor leaned against the counter. Kids have interesting perspectives, don't they?" Sarah closed the dishwasher but didn't turn around. "Victor, do you ever think about that night?" he asked quietly. Not just because of Anna, but she turned then, meeting his gaze. "Sometimes, more lately." "Why lately?" "Because," she took a deep breath, "because the man you are now, the father you've become, the way you've changed, he's someone I could have what?" The space between them seemed to crackle with unspoken words. Sarah took a step forward, then stopped as a small voice called from the hallway. "Mom, Daddy?" They found Anna standing in her doorway, clutching her new chess set. "I can't sleep. Can we play just one game?" Victor and Sarah exchanged glances, the moment between them suspended but not broken. "One game," Sarah agreed. Then bed. They sat on Anna's floor, helping her set up the crystal pieces on the frosted board. "I'll be white," Anna declared. "You two can be black together." As they played, Victor found himself acutely aware of Sarah's presence beside him, of the way her shoulder brushed his when she leaned forward to move a piece, of how natural it felt to be here, together, playing chess with their daughter on her birthday. Anna won, though Victor suspected Sarah had subtly helped her, and finally drifted off to sleep, still wearing her party dress, the chess set carefully placed on her bedside table. In the hallway, Sarah gathered her coat. "I should go. It's late." "Stay," Victor said, then quickly added, "It's snowing pretty hard out there." Sarah looked out the window at the swirling snow, then back at him. "Victor, what are we doing?" "I don't know," he admitted, "but I know that when you're here, when it's the three of us, everything makes sense in a way it never has before." Sarah stepped closer, her eyes searching his face. And what does Madison think about that? Madison, Victor said softly, might be wiser than all of us. The space between them disappeared as Sarah reached up, her hand gentle on his cheek. When their lips met, it was both familiar and entirely new, a convergence of past and present, of what was and what could be. Outside, the snow continued to fall, blanketing the city in quiet possibility. Inside, in the warm glow of birthday lights and new beginnings, two people who had found their way back to each other held on tight, while their daughter slept peacefully, her birthday wish for her family already coming true. March arrived with unexpected warmth, coaxing early blooms from Central Park's trees. Victor stood in his office, watching workers dismantle his name from the CEO's parking space below. Tomorrow would mark his official transition to executive chairman Suri Rao, but today held a different significance. His phone buzzed with a message from Sarah. Court appointment confirmed for 2 p.m. Today, they would finalize their shared custody agreement, a formal acknowledgement of the partnership they'd built over the past months. And perhaps, Victor thought, touching his lips where Sarah's kiss still lingered from that morning, something more. Since Anna's birthday party, their relationship had evolved quietly, carefully, shared dinners after Anna's bedtime, long walks in the park while she had gymnastics class, moments stolen in the kitchen over morning coffee. They'd kept it private, wanting to be sure, wanting to protect Anna from uncertainty. The intercom buzzed. "Mr. Almeida, your car is ready." The family court building stood stark against the spring sky. Victor found Sarah and Anna already waiting, their daughter proudly wearing the dress she'd chosen specifically for the special court day. "Ready?" Sarah asked, smoothing Anna's curls. The proceedings were brief but emotional. The judge, a kind-faced woman who'd reviewed their case, smiled as she signed the final papers. "It's refreshing," she commented, "to see parents who've found such a positive way forward." Anna, sitting between them, beamed. "Now we're official now." "We've always been official, sweetheart," Victor said, squeezing her hand. "This just puts it on paper." Outside the courthouse, Anna spotted a flower vendor. "Can I get some flowers to celebrate?" "Of course," Sarah said, but Victor was already moving toward the cart. As Anna carefully selected her bouquet, an older woman at the stand smiled at them. "What a beautiful family," she said. "Well, you can see how much love there is between you all." Before either parent could respond, Anna spoke up. "They kiss sometimes when they think I'm not looking." Sarah's cheeks flushed red as Victor nearly dropped the flowers he was holding. The vendor chuckled knowingly. "Anna," Sarah managed, "why don't we get some ice cream?" Over ice cream in the park, Anna continued her innocent revelations. "Madison says when parents kiss, it means they're in love. Are you in love?" Victor and Sarah exchanged glances. They hadn't discussed how or when to talk with Anna about the shift in their relationship. "Sweetheart," Sarah began carefully, "sometimes grown-ups need time to figure things out. But you sleep over lots now," Anna persisted, "and Daddy makes your coffee just how you like it, and you both look at each other like in the movies." Victor choked slightly on his ice cream. They'd been so careful, or so they thought. "Anna," he said, finding his voice, "how would you feel if your mom and I were more than just your parents?" Anna looked at him like he'd asked the most obvious question in the world. "You already are. You're in love. I wished for it on my birthday candles, and it came true." Sarah reached for Victor's hand, threading their fingers together. "You wished for us to fall in love?" "No," Anna said triumphantly. "I wished for you to stop pretending you weren't already in love." Victor felt Sarah's hand tighten in his as they both stared at their precocious daughter. "When did you get so wise?" Sarah asked softly. "I'm 6 now," Anna reminded them seriously. "I know things." Later that evening, after Anna was asleep, Victor and Sarah stood on the apartment's balcony. The city sparkled below them, but Victor was focused on the woman beside him. "She knew before we did," Sarah said, shaking her head with amusement. "I think I knew," Victor admitted. "That day in the hospital, when Anna had her asthma attack, watching you with her, feeling that connection between us, I knew then that what I felt for you wasn't just about co-parenting." Sarah turned to face him. "I knew at Thanksgiving, seeing you open your home, your heart. You were so different from the man I met 6 years ago. I had to be," Victor said simply. "That man wasn't worthy of you, or Anna. And now," Victor pulled her close, "now I wake up every morning grateful for second chances, for birthday wishes and precocious daughters and women who believe in change." Sarah's hands found their way to his chest. Speaking of change, the apartment across the hall is for sale. I know. It would be convenient. For Anna's sake. Just for Anna's sake. Victor's eyebrow raised. Sarah smiled. Well, it would also save me from having to pack a toothbrush every time I stay over. Move in here, Victor said suddenly. Not across the hall. Here. With us. Sarah's eyes widened. Victor, I love you, he said, the words feeling both monumental and completely natural. I think I've loved you since that first night. I was just too blind to see it. And now, with Anna, with everything we've built, I don't want to waste any more time. Sarah's eyes glistened in the city lights. Ask me properly. Victor took her hands in his. Sarah Martinez, will you move in with us? Will you help me show our daughter what real love looks like? Will you? She cut him off with a kiss, deep and sure and full of promise. Is that a yes? He murmured against her lips. That's a what took you so long, she replied, smiling. Inside, Anna slept peacefully, her birthday wish fulfilled, while outside on the balcony, her parents embraced under the spring stars, their love story finally finding its true beginning. The August heat shimmered over Central Park as Victor watched Anna practice her cartwheels on the grass. Sarah sat beside him on the blanket, reviewing final proofs for her agency's biggest campaign launch. 6 months into living together, they'd found their rhythm, a delicate balance of family, work, and growing love. Daddy, watch this, Anna called out, attempting a new gymnastics move she'd learned in class. I'm watching, sweetheart, he assured her, even as his phone buzzed with another message from Richard about the quarterly board meeting. Sarah glanced at his phone. Go ahead and answer him. I've got eyes on our little acrobat. Victor smiled, remembering how different things had been a year ago. Now, Richard had become not just an ally but a friend, regularly joining them for Sunday dinners and chess matches with Anna. The board wants to discuss expansion into Europe, he explained, typing a quick response. But it can wait until Monday. Can it? Sarah asked softly. Victor, you don't have to put everything on hold for us. We knew what we were getting into, who you are, who I was. He corrected, but Sarah shook her head. Who you are, a brilliant businessman, a dedicated father, and, she leaned closer, a man who finally learned to balance it all. Their moment was interrupted by Anna flopping dramatically onto the blanket. I'm hungry. Can we have hot dogs from the cart? As they walked to the hot dog vendor, Victor noticed a familiar face approaching. James Chen, CEO of Chen Industries, with whom the merger had eventually succeeded. Victor, James called out warmly. And this must be the famous Anna I've heard so much about. Anna, suddenly shy, pressed closer to Sarah's side. James, Victor greeted him. Me out enjoying the park. Taking my grandchildren to the zoo, James replied, gesturing to his family waiting nearby. You know, when you first proposed stepping back for family, I thought you were crazy. But seeing you now, he smiled. Sometimes the wisest investments aren't in business at all. After exchanging pleasantries, they continued their walk. Anna, her confidence restored, skipped ahead while maintaining the agreed-upon distance. He's right, you know, Sarah said, taking Victor's hand. You haven't lost anything by choosing this path. You've gained everything. Victor squeezed her hand, remembering all the moments that had led them here. The fear in her eyes that first day in his office, Anna's first asthma attack, Thanksgiving revelations, birthday wishes, and countless small moments in between. Mom, Dad, look what I found, Anna called out, holding up a perfect dandelion puff. They watched as she closed her eyes, made a wish, and blew the seeds into the summer breeze. What did you wish for? Sarah asked. Anna grinned mischievously. Can't tell, but my last wish came true. Remember? Later that evening, as they walked home through the park's growing shadows, Anna between them holding both their hands, Victor felt a sense of completeness he'd never known existed. Swing me, Anna demanded, and they obliged, lifting her between them as she laughed. Back at the apartment, as Sarah helped Anna with her bath, Victor received another message, this time from Rebecca, who'd recently been promoted to Chief of Staff. Paris office confirms interest in partnership. Board meeting Monday 10th a.m. P.S. Anna left her favorite unicorn at the office last week. Bringing it to Sunday dinner, Victor smiled. remembering how Rebecca had seamlessly transitioned from just his executive assistant to part of their extended family. Sunday dinners had become a tradition. Rebecca, Richard, sometimes James and his family, all gathering around their table, bound together by Anna's ability to create connections. "She's asking for you," Sarah said from the doorway. Story time. In Anna's room, surrounded by the stuffed animals and books that marked their daughter's expanding world, Victor sat on the edge of her bed. "Tell me about the day you met Mom," Anna requested, a frequent favorite. "Again?" Victor teased, but he was already settling in. "Well, it was a regular Tuesday morning." "No, not that day," Anna interrupted. "The first day, when you fell in love but didn't know it yet." Victor met Sarah's eyes across the room, seeing in them the same memory. A chance meeting in Chicago, a connection neither had been ready to acknowledge. "That's a story for when you're older," Sarah said, joining them on the bed. "Much older." As Anna drifted off to sleep, Victor and Sarah stood in the doorway, watching their daughter's peaceful breathing. "I have a meeting in Paris next month," Victor said quietly. "I was thinking maybe we could make it a family trip. Anna's never been to Europe, and you mentioned wanting to visit the Louvre, the art museum," Sarah teased. "I thought we weren't supposed to mention art in this story." Victor pulled her close, breathing in the familiar scent of her shampoo. "I think we can make an exception. After all, our whole life together is a kind of masterpiece, isn't it?" Sarah looked up at him, her eyes soft in the dim light. "Getting poetic in your old age?" "Getting wise," he corrected, finally understanding what real success looks like. They moved to the living room, where the summer night breeze drifted through open windows. Sarah curled against him on the couch, her head finding its familiar place on his shoulder. "Paris sounds perfect, Doro," she said. "But you know Anna will want to climb the Eiffel Tower." "Of course she will," Victor chuckled. "She's fearless, just like her mother, and determined, just like her father." They sat in comfortable silence, listening to the city sounds below, and their daughter's soft breathing from down the hall. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new adventures, new opportunities to balance the lives they'd chosen to build together. But for now, in the quiet of their home, everything was exactly as it should be. Victor pressed a kiss to Sarah's temple, thinking of dandelion wishes and second chances and the endless possibilities that lay ahead. In the end, his greatest merger hadn't been business at all. It had been this: two hearts becoming one, guided by the love of a little girl who had known all along what they were meant to be. 1 year later, the September morning dawned clear and bright as Victor adjusted his tie in the mirror. From the bathroom, he could hear Sarah's voice mixing with Anna's excited chatter. "Mom, is my dress okay? Do I look like a proper flower girl?" "You look beautiful, sweetheart. Just please be careful with the flower crown until the ceremony." Victor smiled, remembering the months of planning that had led to this day. Their wedding would be small. Family and close friends gathered in a rooftop garden overlooking Central Park. Anna had insisted on helping with every detail, from the flowers to the music. "Daddy!" Anna burst into the bedroom, a vision in pale blue tulle. "Uncle Richard is here. He says he needs to talk to you about grown-up stuff." Victor found Richard in the living room, looking unusually formal in his best suit. "The London office called," Richard began, then stopped himself. "No, you know what? It can wait. Today isn't about business." "Thank you," Victor said simply, knowing how far they'd both come. The rooftop had been transformed into an enchanted garden, white chairs arranged in intimate rows, flowers and ribbons dancing in the gentle breeze. Guests began arriving: Rebecca with her new fiancé, James Chen and his family, Anna's teachers from Winchester Academy, Sarah's colleagues from the agency. Anna took her flower girl duty seriously, practicing her walk one final time under Rebecca's watchful eye. "Remember," she instructed the adults around her, "when the music starts, I go first, then Daddy waits at the front, then Mom comes in looking like a princess." Victor retreated to a private corner of the rooftop, looking out over the city he'd once thought was the center of his universe. Now he knew better. His universe was in the love of a woman who'd given him a second chance and a daughter who'd taught him what really mattered. Having second thoughts, Sarah's voice came from behind him. "Sarah." He turned, then stopped, breathless. She stood in a simple white dress that caught the morning light, her dark hair swept up elegantly, her eyes bright with love and mischief. "You're not supposed to let me see you before the ceremony. Since when do we follow the usual rules?" She moved closer, taking his hands. Besides, Anna's busy giving Richard detailed instructions about proper flower petal distribution. I thought we might need a moment. Victor pulled her close, breathing in the scent of her perfume. Do you remember what you said to me that first day in my office? About wanting more than a man who saw everything as a business transaction? I remember. You were right about who I was then, but you were also right to give that man a chance to change. Sarah touched his cheek gently. We both changed. We grew, and somewhere along the way, we fell in love properly, Victor finished. Though according to our daughter, we were just pretending not to be in love all along. Mom! Daddy! Anna's voice carried across the rooftop. It's almost time. You're not supposed to be together yet. They separated, laughing. Sarah pressed a quick kiss to Victor's lips. See you at the altar. The ceremony was everything they'd hoped for. Intimate, joyful, and perfectly imperfect. Anna scattered her flower petals with dramatic flair, beaming as Victor waited at the front. When Sarah appeared, escorted by her father, Victor felt his heart swell with the same amazement he'd felt the first time he saw her, the same wonder he felt every morning waking up beside her. Their vows were simple but profound. Victor spoke of second chances and redemption, of learning that true wealth lay in love and family. Sarah spoke of forgiveness and growth, of finding home in unexpected places. And when the officiant pronounced them husband and wife, Anna's delighted applause led the celebration. At the reception, Richard raised his glass for a toast to Victor and Sarah, who proved that the best mergers aren't found in boardrooms but in the heart, and to Anna, who knew all along what the rest of us needed time to discover. As they shared their first dance, Sarah in his arms and Anna watching with starry eyes, Victor thought about the journey that had brought them here, from that first night in Chicago to that life-changing morning in his office, through hospital scares and school plays, Thanksgiving revelations and birthday wishes. They had built something extraordinary. What are you thinking? Sarah murmured against his shoulder. About how sometimes the best business decision I ever made was learning to let go of business decisions. She laughed softly. And here I thought you were just thinking about how beautiful your wife is. That too, he smiled, spinning her gently. Always that too. Later, as the sun set over Manhattan, the three of them stood together at the rooftop's edge. Anna, tired but happy, leaned against Victor while Sarah held his hand. Look, Anna pointed to a shooting star streaking across the darkening sky. Quick, make a wish. I don't need to, Victor said, pulling his family closer. I already have everything I could wish for. Below them, the city continued its endless rhythm. But up here, in their private corner of the sky, time seemed to stand still. Victor Almeida, once defined by corporate success, now found his true legacy in the love of his wife and daughter, in the family they'd built together, in the second chances that had led them home. As night fell over Manhattan, the rooftop glowed with candlelight and laughter, celebrating not just a wedding but a journey, one that had begun with a single mother's courage, a father's awakening, and a little girl's unwavering belief in love's power to change everything. And in that perfect moment, under the stars that had witnessed their entire story, Victor, Sarah, and Anna held on to each other, their family complete, their love story still unfolding, their future bright with all the possibilities that come when hearts find their way home at last. If you had to abandon all the professional success you'd built up to reconnect with a son you'd never met, would you have the same courage Victor showed? At what point in the story did you feel that he really changed his priorities? Leave your opinion in the comments. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the story, please subscribe to our channel and leave a comment below, letting us know what you thought. Your feedback and support mean a lot to us. Stay tuned for more exciting stories.